Should you bother learning the alphabet in Spanish? Take a look at the following situation. Hola, buenos días. Sí, es que compré una pata de jamón. Sí, jamón ibérico. Y necesito la factura. ¿Me la puedes mandar a mi correo, por favor? Sí, es alejandro@keyspanish.com. Sí, Keyspanish, la mejor escuela de español del mundo. Sí. ¿Cómo se escribe? Bueno, te lo deletreo. K, E, Y, S, P, A, N, I, S, H. Key Spanish. Vale. Bueno, muchas gracias. Seems helpful when you need to spell something over the phone, a name, an email, an address. What about this other situation? El mejor vino se hace en España. Profe, pero ¿cómo se escribe vino? Vino se escribe con V. V-I-N-O. So if you need to ask your teacher how to spell a word, also you need to understand the letters of the alphabet. So we can agree learning the Spanish alphabet is a useful thing to do, and that's what we are going to cover in today's lesson. Hola amigos, soy Alejandro, bienvenidos a Key Spanish, and this is another video of our Spanish course for beginners here on YouTube. We are now in Module 0, where we are learning just some very basics to get started. In the first lesson of the course, we learn about some greetings, introducing yourself, saying goodbye. In the second one, you had some listening practice with an audio where I was talking about my favorite things and some of my preferences. And today we are covering the alphabet. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the playlist. You will find a link on the top of the screen and also in the description, where you will find all of the videos of this course as well as the future ones in order. So let's get started with el abecedario. Alphabet in Spanish is abecedario, also alfabeto, but abecedario is more frequent. This is the structure of today's lesson. We're going to start with a rundown of the alphabet. I'm just going to say the letters and a word that has the sound of the letter, but I'm not going to stop and explain anything. Just go through the alphabet in order. After that is where we will break down each of the letters and their sounds. And we are going to have some spelling practice. And we will finish with the same rundown so you can have a recap of what you learned. So this lesson is going to be a bit lengthy, so make sure to use the video chapters to navigate it if you want to. The way we are going to present you with letters and sounds of the alphabet in Spanish is first cover the vowels and then the consonants. And we're not going to go in order A, B, C, D, but we're going to break the consonants in 3 groups. The first group is the easiest one, where it's just identical to English, just with a change of vowel. Then other ones are very similar to English, you just add one more vowel. And then you have a couple of letters that are new to you, that are in the English alphabet, but they have a completely different name in Spanish. So we're going to make sure to use what you already know, which is the English alphabet, to transfer that knowledge into the Spanish one, because there are lots of similarities that could be useful for us. So now it's time for the rundown of the alphabet. Listen carefully. I'm going to go slowly so you have time to repeat after me. And remember, I'm not going to stop here and explain anything. This is just a first interaction with the letters. A, Australia. B, Beatriz. C, Colombia, Barcelona. D, David. E, España. F, Francia. G, García, Argentina. H, Hernández. I, Inglaterra. J, Juan. K, Kenia. L, Luxemburgo. M, México. N, Navarra. Ñ, España. O, Óscar. P, Portugal. Q, Quevedo, Quito. R, Rodríguez, Perú. S, Singapur. T, Teresa. U, Uruguay. V, Venezuela. W, Wi-Fi. X, Extremadura. Y, Paraguay, Yolanda. Z, Zaragoza. Okay, that's it for the first rundown. Now let's break down each of the letters and its sounds. And as we said, we're going to get started with the vowels. Vowels in Spanish are much more straightforward than in English. In English, you have almost 20 different sounds depending on the variety of English we attend to. In Spanish, there are 5 vowels with 5 sounds. The bad news is that these sounds are different from English and they can cause a bit of trouble. We're going to go through them one by one, but not in much detail, right? This is not the purpose of this video. If you are interested in learning more about the pronunciation of vowels and want me to make a video specifically about that, please leave me a comment below and let me know. So we're going to just cover them a bit fast today. The first one is A. You can see in this graph how we organize the vowels in accordance to where the tongue is positioned, if in the front of the mouth or in the back, and the openness of the mouth, if the mouth is more open or more closed. In this case, the A has the tongue in the back and the mouth a bit open. A, A, A. So let's say E, E, I, O, U. Let's hear these vowels in context. So paso, peso, piso, poso, puso. A, E, I, O, U. Paso, peso, piso, poso, puso. And you can see in the pictures and also in the graph the position of the mouth, how close, how open it is. And you don't see it on the graph, but you need to be aware of your position of the tongue, if it's more back or more in the front. Now, we are going to pay special attention today to the E, because it's the letter we're going to use to say most of the consonants in Spanish. And the E in Spanish is your mouth much closed or a bit more closed than in English. So, for example, when you say in English, me, right? It's not about me, I. And in Spanish, it's a bit more close. It's me, e. So the me, not I, e. And all the vowels are a bit shorter in Spanish. It's a, e, I, o, u. Now, a good proxy to it is the word in English mess. So this is a mess. Very similar to how it sounds in Spanish, the word for month, which is mes. So it's a mess, it's el mes. Okay? E. That's it for the vowels in Spanish. Let's now go to the consonants. And as we said, we are going to start with a group that is easiest for English speakers, which are the letters that are identical. You just change the English vowel for the Spanish one. And this group starts with the B, C, D, P, T. B, C, D, P, T. In Spanish, you just change the E for, as we said, E, I, E, which, remember, sounds like mess. So, instead of B, you have B. C, D, P, T. B, C, D, P, T. Easy enough. Now, let's stop a bit with P and T, because Very common mistake is for English speakers to let go a lot of air when they say pe and te, because in English is pt with air coming through. In Spanish, no air is coming through. And to illustrate that, going to use a tissue. So we have this tissue here, and you need to place it in front of your mouth. And if you pronounce your English P or T, you will see that it moves, right? So P, T, P, T. Posture, towel, towel. So let's move it. So let's try now with Spanish P's and T's. So P, P, T, T. Paco, Teresa, Paco, Teresa, P, T, P, T, T. Okay, so if you are into tissues and placing them in front of your mouth while saying letters, do that test and check, right? If when you are saying the Spanish P or T, the tissue moves, you are not doing it right. No air has to come through. Let's now move on to another set of letters that just require a change of vowel, but also have more nuance to it. Starting with the G, not only you need to change the vowel to the Spanish E, but the sound is different. It's the sound G, G, G. Comes from your throat, and you can approximate it with the English word maybe history, but it's significantly stronger. Especially in Spain, we do this sound a bit harder than in Latin America. And if it's in the beginning of the word, it's also significantly harder than in the middle of the word. So instead of G, it goes to G. With K, you change the English A for A, so it's K. And Q, English U for Spanish U. So Q. So G, K, Q. And now we are going to go through the second group of consonants in the way we are organizing it. The first one is straightforward enough. You just change the English vowel for the Spanish one, and you got it. Now we have to add a vowel. With these letters in English, F, L, M, and S, you just add a Spanish E to the end of them, and you get F, L, M, N, S. This is quite straightforward. And then we have the V, that in Latin America they say B, but in Spain we call this letter V. So you not only need to change the vowel, but you need to add one in the beginning. So the letter for V is V. And an important thing to know about this letter and the sound is that it's the same sound as B. At least that's the norm. That's what the Royal Academy says it is. And it's true in most of the Spanish-speaking world, but not in all of it. Right? In some regions in Latin America and also in Spain, Catalonia, Balearic Islands, they do pronounce this V with labio-dental, with your teeth touching your lips. But you as a student, I do recommend sticking with the norm of pronouncing this V as a B. So no distinction between V and B. And now that you got the V, the V, for W it's pretty straightforward too. You just say W, W. Again, this is the standard name, but there are other options. In Latin America, they call it BW, W. Even in Central America, W, given the influence of English. But the standard name would be W. And then you have the H, right? Instead of H, you have H. H, you change the A for A, like we did with K. But we also add the E at the end. So you have H. H. Super important here. Very common mistake with English speakers. You do pronounce this letter. For example, the word brother, hermano. English speakers tend to pronounce hermano, hermano. No, no, never. The H is completely silent. We do not pronounce it. And lastly, we have the R. We change the A of English for the Spanish E and add an E at the end. So R, R. The R has two sounds. When it's just one R, unless it's at the beginning of the word, it's a soft R, like caro. And when it's in the middle of the word with two R's, it's a hard R, carro, carro. We can also make a video about this, the pronunciation of this letter specifically. If you would like to, again, let me know in the comment section. And finally, let's move on to the last category of letters we're going to learn, which are the letters that are new to you. But before that, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure to give it a like, dale a me gusta. It's gratis, it's free, so come on. And you can even subscribe to the channel if you want more lessons like this in the future and build a solid foundation with this set of courses or lessons for beginners we are doing. And be notified, just make sure to subscribe, okay? So now let's move on to these letters that are new to you. So these are the J, the ñ, X, Y, and Z. In Spanish, the J is called J. J. Same sound as the G from your throat, like history, but stronger. La J. Then we have the ñ, letter that you do not have in English, in the English alphabet, and is very, stereotypical of Spain. It's like the Spanish letter, not Spain, just Spanish-speaking world. And you need to place your tongue in your palate at the top, ñ, like España, España. And then we have the X, which is called X. A cool trick could be thinking of a kiss, so you can remember the name of this letter. And then we have the Y, which is commonly referred to as Y. But again, the Royal Academy says the official name of this letter is Y. And its pronunciation is quite tricky because it varies along regions a lot. So in some places you would hear Y, in others le, almost an L. And in places like Argentina, a completely different sound like sh. Sh. Now, if you pronounce anything close to yeah, I think it's good enough. Don't worry too much about it for now. And then we have the Z, which is theta, right? Not the Z sound in English. Z, the Z does not exist in Spanish. We either have the S, like in Latin America, they say zeta with an S sound. In Spain, we say theta with a TH sound, like in thick, theta. That's it for this lesson on the alphabet, on the letters, on the breakdown. 3 groups, very similar ones. You just need to change the E, right, in Spanish in English for the English one, like B or D or C. And then the ones that you need to add one to it, like M, N, N. And some letters that are different, like J, Y, theta. And you need to just learn those by heart. And now let's go through a short exercise of spelling. We saw at the beginning of the video how the alphabet is useful mainly for spelling things and asking someone to spell something for you. So let's practice. We have this woman, a Spanish actress, Penélope Cruz. How do you spell her name? I'm going to give you some time. You can pause the video. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds, but pause the video and try to do it by yourself. Remember to participate. I said it in the introduction of the course. I expect you to interact with me, to practice what you are learning, okay? So no seas vago, no seas vago. So how do you spell this name? Okay, so it will be P-E-N-L-O-P-E. What about the last name? C-R-U-Z. Penélope Cruz. Okay, let's go through one more. Rafael Nadal, el mejor tenista de la historia. Sin duda. Y probablemente el mejor deportista de la historia. How do you spell his name? Okay. R-A-F-A-E-L. What about his last name? N-A-D-A-L. Rafael Nadal. And the last one, Chris Hemsworth, a bit more tricky. We needed a foreign name to introduce new letters. My grandmother says I look like him. I think it's pretty true, right? You have to love grandmas, right? I love my grandma. And yeah, I think she's right in this particular case. But, well, How do you spell the name of this actor that is now a Spanish teacher? So you go with C, H, R, I, S. And the last name, pause the video if you need to. H, E, M, S, W, O, R, T, H. And in the same spirit of practicing what you are learning, I'm going to ask you to participate below in the comments spelling your own name, right? Mi nombre se deletrea A-L-E-J-A-N-D-R-O, Alejandro. What about yours? Can you spell your name for me? Also, you can try with your last name and practice more. Just try spelling addresses, your email, whatever it is. Just put what you're learning into use, right? Because either you use it or you lose it. And to finish this lesson, as we said, I'm going to give you another rundown of the alphabet, this time in order. Feel free to skip that again. If you have already mastered the contents, you are already a ninja of the Spanish alphabet, then you can navigate through the video and skip that part. But if you would like another recap, here it is. A. Australia. B. Beatriz. C. Colombia, Barcelona. D. David. E. España. F. Francia. G. García, Argentina. H. Hernández. I. Inglaterra. J. Juan. K. Kenia. L. Luxemburgo. M. México. N. Navarra. Ñ. España. O. Oscar. P. Portugal. Q. Quevedo, Quito. R. Rodríguez, Perú. S. Singapur. T. Teresa. U. Uruguay. V. Venezuela. W. Wi-Fi. X. Extremadura. Y. Paraguay, Yolanda. Z. Zaragoza. I hope that was useful, and before we go, there's one more thing I want to share with you. As I have already mentioned in previous lessons, throughout this course we have lesson notes that provide the slides of the lesson as well as some extra resources that are useful. It could be vocabulary, an audio, or in this case, the table of the vocabulary of the alphabet, alongside an audio with a much nicer voice than mine, just saying the words in order, so it's easy for you to reference. Also, we're going to include some links to songs that you may use to memorize the alphabet. That's something that some people are into. I don't know if you like these kind of songs. Some of them are a bit childish. Here are 3 of them that are useful. And also, I'm going to include for this lesson notes on the spelling alphabet. So when you are spelling an email, to clarify if you mean B or D, which can be confusing, or P or T, then you reference it with city normally or name, like A de Ávila or B de Barcelona. So you have access to that alphabet too in the lesson notes. If you would like to get these lesson notes for this video and all the others in this course for beginners here on YouTube, you will find the link in the description, and they are completely free, of course. That's it for today's lesson on the alphabet. If you are enjoying the content and would like to get notified when we publish our next lesson, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are publishing a new video for this course for beginners every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you are enjoying it, please subscribe and also give it a like. Remember that es gratis. Soy Alejandro de Key Spanish y nos vemos en clase.